Day 4. Woke up at 6 a.m. to enjoy some alone time on the roof deck as we sailed down the Nile towards Kom Ombo. This site was constructed during the Ptolemaic period, and it's unusual because it's a dual temple, mainly dedicated to Sobek and Horus the Elder. The House of the Crocodile is on the southern portion, or right side, when facing the temple, and the Castle of the Falcon is on the northern portion, or left side. A large portion of this temple has been destroyed over the millennia by earthquakes, flooding of the Nile, and recycling of materials for building other structures. There's remnants of a wall in front of the temple on the right side. I've read that this was originally a pylon, but I'm not sure. All of the columns in the open courtyard have been reduced to nubs. These are multi-piece constructions, so they are most likely disassembled and reused. From a front view, we can see the two corner columns are missing, which would directly correlate to the absent roof structure. We also see the police officer with a machine gun and one of the site guardians. Just look at the size of the columns compared to that guy. The lintels are massive, and is that cove detail part of the same block or somehow attached? The winged sun disk is carved in high relief, while the hieroglyphs below are low relief. I'd like to think the visible pigments are over 2,000 years old, but I really have no idea. Look at the size of these roof blocks. Did they use rope and pulleys, or did they fill the temple with sand and drag them up? Almost every surface is covered with carvings. This column has a band of ankhs and wa scepters. I found a similar motif. This time the ankh had arms and was grabbing the wa scepters, some of them having an evil eyebrow. And the walls were covered in larger panels, each telling a story. This one is a calendar. The flooring was predominantly squares and rectangles, and a running bond was not consistent. Take note of this energetic pattern at the bottom of this column, as it can be found in many temples. This is the view through the left side of the temple. Every scene is of Horus, not a single door remains, and each doorway is topped with the bead and cove detail, adorned with the winged sun disk. This is a side view of that same corridor, and this is the view from the back. I know what you're wondering, and yes, huge door hinge pockets. The back part of this temple is pretty much stripped of its walls. 1 to 2 courses is all that remains in most areas, with the rare sighting of 3 to 4 courses. Bow tie recesses, however, those can be found in large quantities. The belief is that these pockets were filled with molten metal, interlocking the stones. The guides believe they also aided the flow of energy through the temple. These 3 rooms would have been for the priests, and notice the grate in the center. These are the offering tables within the sanctuaries of Sobek and Horus, and if these walls were still intact, you'd have a hidden chamber. These holes are connected by an underground tunnel, so if Pharaoh or whomever was worshipping, the priest just jumps down, pops up in the wall, and talks to them as if he's the god. And he probably didn't look anything like this guy. I have no idea how extensive that tunnel system is, but I did find a third entry point. This is a close-up of one of the offering tables. It's a solid block of basalt, skillfully carved with a bead detail, as well as a high-relief winged disc. At the back of the temple are 7 chambers, the middle one being a staircase which ascends to a second level. They were all secured behind locked gates. A few of them had walls covered in carvings, and this one had a tapered skylight cut into the stone, a feature which was repeated on the second level. Behind the temple, but still within the enclosure wall, is a corridor full of reliefs. The most notable being this one, which depicts childbirth and a large array of surgical tools. Also within this corridor, we get a close-up look at this tapered bead corner detail. As we circle around, we get a good rear view of the Sobek half of the temple, and another view of the columns, which just like Philae, seem to have a randomized design when it comes to the top caps. A feature of which I was unaware, and the guides failed to point out, is this combination well and Nileometer. They probably don't let you descend that staircase, but if you're in Egypt, make sure to check that out, and know that I'll be jealous. Next to the temple is a small museum full of mummified crocodiles. They do require and enforce a photo pass, and the reflection off the glass makes getting a good photo quite a challenge.